TV?
It's the rolling thing that says the meeting for Savaris Group community,
Okay.
blah blah blah.
That's good. Can you actually go stand in front of the TV? Like, and can you move that? All right, back up a little bit, like how I stand in the midpoint between the TV and the camera. All right, stand right there. You're about average height. Good enough. All right. Yeah. Can you also move that thing over to the door over there? That'll be good.
It wasn't easy, but I did find it. They said that what do I have to say? Oh,
All right.
I knew.
Oh, one thing's up. The microphone is right there. So anything you say will get picked up by it.
Great to see you.
Alright. You're live for 30 seconds. You're just ready? 6 o'clock, you ready?
Not quite.
Alright, no worries. Take that for a second. Oh. You sure? One more
Nice.
Yeah, once they get around to it, whatever's on the screen, so we're getting rid of it. Also, you might stop sharing. Do not click on it. Do not. Okay? Otherwise, I'll lose connection to this. What's going on? Yep.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the July Cypresswood Community Association meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Next slide, please. We're going to call the roll call. Mr. Secretary.
Sure.
Club patio,
Present.
Cypress Pond,
Here.
Eagle Pond condos.
He's on the phone.
He's on the phone.
Present.
Enclave,
Here.
Fairway patio,
Here.
Garden patio,
Present.
Golf villas,
Here.
Greenfield Village, Meadows, Oak Grove, Palmacia, Plantations, Sand Hill Lane, Villas on the Green.
Thank you, everybody. I also need a motion and a second to approve tonight's meeting agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Purnell. Second by Terry Murphy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Also need a motion to approve the June 20th meeting minutes. Mrs. Goodrich, thank you. Mr. McCullough, thank you for the second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We have our resident comments. We have, looks like 5 residents that would like to speak to the board. First one on the list is Flory Diener. Please come to the front. You have 3 minutes. Once you start. Wait till she gets here.
Mr. Chair, I'm Flory Diener from Gulf Villas. I wanted to know if during the process, as we are considering whether to buy or continue to lease the property, whether a consultant has been brought in to speak with the board members, a person who has done this kind of thing in the past or is very well versed in communities such as ours taking on something like this.
I'm going to let did you want to answer that during Scott? Do you want to answer that when you do that part of the program? You could? Or do you want to, we know the answer, not yet, right?
Not yet. We would want board direction to do that.
Right,
Yep.
okay. The next one on the list is Karen Walton from Fairway Patio.
I'm Karen Walton from Fairway Patio. I have a question about the golf course, the condition that it's in. If I had my grass looking like it does out on the golf course, I would be fine. I would be getting, the CAM would be sending me letters. Are you guys being fined?
No.
Okay. How come? How come nothing is being done about it? I understand that you're short of help, you don't have a mechanic, and the equipment is broken down. Places in town fix equipment, and also you can get somebody with the money you're saving from not having a mechanic and enough help. You can hire some company to come in and take care of it to make it look better. I live on the 18th fairway. I would say 6 or 8 times a day the mower goes past my house and it's up. It's never down. What's the problem here?
It'll be addressed on the report. Thank you.
Next one on the list is Robert Dodd. They will be done during the committee report.
Anybody answer her?
It will be addressed during the committee report. It will be addressed during the committee report. Robert, you're withholding for now. Next one on the list is Mark Nickerson from Meadows.
Much. Can everybody hear me okay? Yeah. I'm just going to read this so that I fit under the... Okay, I'm just going to read this rather than try to fit under the 3 minutes. So, good evening, fellow residents of the 14 HOAs that make up the Cypresswood community. My name is Mark Nickerson. I live in a house in the Meadows. Our board of directors asked our attorney to obtain transparency from the CCA and the LLC by requesting they provide copies of all of their financials and operating records for the past 7 years. Unfortunately, this request apparently made a few people upset within our Meadows area, and an unsigned kind of a mystery letter showed up at all of the residents where obviously the letter, the purchase paper and printing plus the envelopes and stamps to have these letters sent to the 50 homeowners. But the problem was that it was sent from Tampa, which I don't quite understand when I got my letter. The letter was not written by our president, John Tassin, or any of our new members of the board of directors, although it was constructed in a manner that left many of our residents or recipients thinking that John had written the letter. It is not true, and neither are the falsehoods that were included in the letter. The Meadows Board of Directors asked its attorney to obtain the CCA and LLC information so the Meadows could evaluate the pros and cons of the CCA purchasing the amenities in a business-like manner, and also to evaluate the expenses and income reported to the CCA by the LLC. We feel the other HOAs are, or at least should be, doing the same thing. After that, the 14 presidents will hopefully have a meeting and compare the results to make a good, honest decision. We may find out that we can purchase the amenities and stop the large yearly increases in our dues, or maybe even reduce them in the future. Thank you.
And the next person on the last person on the list is Liz Sylvester.
Oh, go to war, Mary Alice. Hello, everyone. So my first thing is all the golfers are so upset with the rough. It's just absolutely out of control. So my understanding is that Bob and all of his people have been trying to get equipment that, I think it was a couple years ago, they had so many thousands of dollars set aside to bring in equipment to help us with our golf course. And then it's been put off because it's unattainable due to COVID and this and that and the other. So today when I came home from playing golf, I called 5, 6, 7 people. And I actually found a 2018 Toro RM 7000 rough mower, has 2,000 hours on it, and it costs $30,000. Free delivery, and it will all be PM'd before we get it. And so at least we are able so we can buy it. And I know that this golf course, they spent all that money, and God only knows how much, to cut the Brazilian what? Brazilian, what is it called? The Brazilian pepper plants down. So now, in my opinion, we can't cut the rough. Now we're going to have more rough to cut. That Brazilian pepper has been there at least 20 years. So I think that was not good money spent. So if you can find it in your coffers to buy this piece of equipment that will be delivered in 2 weeks, and you will have a piece of equipment to cut your rough. And no delivery charge, and everything's going to be, it's going to be in pristine working condition when it gets here. Thank you.
You send that to me?
Yes.
Thank you. Next slide, please. Landscape Committee, Mr. Wilson. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. From the Landscape Committee, we have very little to report. Just things are moving along in a normal fashion. There was one question that was put to us several weeks ago about pressure washing the front sign. And we have looked into it from the company that's going to be doing the painting next year, because we have that budgeted for 2023. The pressure washing, when we got the word back from the company, or from the painting company, they have a concern that we could pressure wash it and make a portion of it clean, but there are some portions of it that have rust stains on them, and we are not sure yet, if we pressure wash it, that we don't destroy some of the paint that's already on there. And we have a sign that has paint missing from it, the logo missing. So the committee has recommended that we do not pressure wash it at this point. But having said that, what we're investigating, that Mark and I are investigating, is how we can get some of that rust off of there that comes from the iron that's in the irrigation system. We've already had the irrigation head that's on that side, we've had it changed so that it's not spraying up so high on there. But when you start taking rust off of a sign, the damage that could be done is worse than leaving it just like it is right now, so that we can have it taken care of in 2023. Mark, you want to add something to that?
No, that covers that subject.
Yeah, thank you. So that's the only thing we have to report at this point. You have another, Mark has another item? Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to report, we had used for many years Medlock Tree Company, and last meeting, John Dyson had brought up the fact that there were a number of residents that he mentioned that had solicited work from tree companies, and Medlock had bid on them also, and they were all less expensive than Medlock. So we asked him after the meeting, and I called him and asked him to provide me with the names of the tree companies and the residents that used them so that we could interview these people. He agreed to do that and then did not furnish me any information. So then we contacted him again, and he got back in touch with me and said, well, he had talked to two tree companies, and that if we gave him a proposal, he would talk to them. We got back in touch with John and told him that's not the way it works. The landscape committee handles this, and he would please provide us with the names of the tree companies and the people that had the work. We'd be happy to interview him, and he's more than welcome to take part of the vending process. I just want to enter in the record that as of today, we have not received any information. Thank you.
Fred?
Thank you.
Fred?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Joe Bachman. I live at 412 Sandestin. I'm one of the residents. It was done today. You're more than welcome to come up after the meeting and look at it. The name of the company is Hubbard, Corey Hubbard. He did an excellent job, and it was $1,000 less than I was bid on.
Well, we're happy to get that information. I'm just entering into the record the fact that we had not received it, and we solicited to John, from John, for a number of times in the last month.
Well,
okay?
the gentleman is very busy, and he did.
Well, we are all very busy.
No, wait a minute. I got a chance to speak here too, don't I? No. He is very busy. He cut it in for us. We had a meeting today, so he did us a favor and came today ahead of schedule, so we could at least show somebody this is a reputable company. I have pictures, I have video of his equipment, his people, how long he was there, and the gentleman down the street did 2 trees, and that was almost $1,000 less. So the information is available today.
Well, we had requested the information, and I'm just entering into the record the fact that as of today, he had not provided it to us.
It's here today, so
tomorrow.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
New to Meadows. We have worked with a company called...
Go ahead and give you the microphone.
New to the Meadows, been here since December. We had some work done by a tree company called Edwards, and unlike some of the comments I've heard from other people saying that the fly-by-night companies will come in here, this company was professional, fantastic, on time, and well below any of the bids that we had gotten from other companies. The equipment is far superior than I could see on 2 of the other companies when they came to do work in our little section out on Sanderson Road in front of our home. The equipment goes up into the trees, very safe. They have a truck that picks everything up and puts it in, makes sure everything is removed from the property. Fantastic job. We'd have them come back 100 times because they're so good.
Well, we're more than happy to talk to these folks if they provide us the name and who had the work done. Just wanted to enter that in the record, okay? Thank you.
Just one real quick. I got a few guys.
Yeah, let me give you the mic.
All right. I just had a tree guy come out to my place. How do I get you the information so you can check them out? That's it.
Just contact us or contact Bob, give him the information, he'll pass it on to the landscape committee, and we'll be happy to interview these folks and verify their ability.
I'll do it today.
Yes, sir.
One thing I was just wanting to know, you said you got the water going up, rusting the sign up front. Could we take and put the irrigation up in front of the sign, shoot the water away from the sign, where no water would be hitting the sign?
There you go, Cat.
Yeah. Fred, you want to answer that? He's asking us to change the irrigation system to make sure the water doesn't hit the sign.
What about the irrigation system? It's what?
That it does not hit the sign.
Or you just put the irrigation right up in front of the sign where it's all shooting out away from the sign.
Well, what I just told you was that we had the irrigation head that dispenses that section that has iron. We had that changed so that it doesn't go up there anymore.
So it's in front of the sign shooting out.
Yes, the irrigation system's been in there for 30, 40, 35 years.
I just want to make sure it wasn't shooting up on the sign to cause it to rust.
No,
We
it
have
just,
no water at all.
the spray is set up to take care of the plants. Some of it does go up on the sign. We changed the, it's a little portal that goes in that irrigation head that reduces the spray that took it off the sign.
So none of it hits the sign now.
Yes.
I'd like to ask the board of directors to consider the fact that there's a $16,100 amount of reserves for front entrance improvements. So it seems like to me that is more than adequate to do whatever needs to be done as soon as possible to improve the looks of the sign and even potentially make other improvements. The money's sitting in reserves, so money is not an object. Everybody understand that?
Okay, my turn.
So a couple weeks ago, I was talking to Bob Shade, and I told him that, I'd always be ready to volunteer to do something. I have a power washer at my home. I'd be more than welcome to go out there with my power washer and save us all a lot of money and power wash the sign myself. You can't ask for anything better than that. It's free.
Yes, let us get your name after the meeting, okay?
Again, being new, I don't know some of the ins and outs of the work that you're doing as far as landscaping, mowing lawns and things like that. But is labor sometimes the issue, or is it equipment that is the problem with mowing, like one of the ladies had said, around the rough and so forth? Is it the equipment that's a problem, or the labor, not having enough people?
So we have a contract with the landscape company to maintain, the mowing areas, the plants and the fertilizer and what have you.
So in the main entrance as you're coming in, all of those areas near the course. Sorry, in the main area coming in and out, over on the right-hand side as you're exiting, all that area, it doesn't look like it's been trimmed. You have grass coming up at different heights, and over on the left-hand side, there's a section which is just gross. It's where the sign for the produce is put in there for Saturdays. But it's just overgrown, and I think they did start to mow it today. But if you need volunteers, although I'm in a wheelchair, I can drive a tractor and do some mowing.
Did you hear him okay? Okay.
Just for definition, that is some of the area that the golf course is responsible for, so it's not part of the landscape's purview in their contract. It's two separate things. Since you're new, you would have known that anyway. Okay, Mr. Tassin, I saw it. I was coming.
You've heard some of the story about the Matlock and other tree trimming companies. Here's the real story. I asked, oh geez, you don't want to hear it, right? You're typical. Yeah, no, you don't want to hear you don't want to hear the facts. I used to teach in college, and one of the students I used to have in each course would be someone like just now. Don't confuse me with the facts. I've already made up my mind. Well, here are the facts. I offered to take the job descriptions that Matlock has bid on and let 2 other professional tree people bid on them. I asked if I could see a copy of what Matlock bid on. Not available. Not available. It's the people we use every year. It's the people we've grown warm and cuddly with and used to using. And we don't bid. What are you talking about, John Tassin? Bid 3 jobs? We don't have time for that. We've got a professional person that we like, and he doesn't break us. He may charge more than others. He may may offer one of my neighbors a job to be done for $900 more than he got it done today, but we don't have time to ask Mr. Matlock. And what is his bid? What does he bid on? How does he bid? Or does he just get told, we're setting aside, I don't know, maybe $50,000 for you next year? When you're having a slow week, give us a call. Come in and trim some trees. Tell us what needs to be done. Why couldn't we have 3 bids? What is wrong with that? What is wrong with my asking members of the landscape committee, could I see the specifications of what Matlock bid on, so I could have the 2 people I know outbid Matlock on that was on 2 occasions at the point I made my contact. Now you've heard about 2 more tonight that hadn't even happened when I brought it to their attention. That we can do much better, but we got to spend a little time at the job some of us get paid to do. Some of us volunteer to do it. So I didn't supply the name because I wanted to know the people who I look at as professionals. I wanted to know they were bidding on the same job requirements as the person we always give it to, because we have a cuddly warm feeling and we can trust that person. I was denied that information.
John was not denied that information. What we provided to him was a description of the various type of work that the landscape or the tree people do. Sometimes what we try to do is maintain the canopy over all the Master Association roads at 14 to 16 feet so it doesn't interfere with trucks and equipment that comes in, and it's our responsibility to make sure that those things don't get damaged. Sometimes it's trimming palm trees. So there's a whole variety of things that we do. Sometimes it's taking down dead pine trees, and that's why we invited John to go ahead and meet with us and vet these different tree companies to see if they were capable of performing that work.
Just to clarify it, John was never denied information. What we asked was, please supply us with the contractors you would like us to take a look at. And the landscape committee is going to do the evaluation. I have 2 presidents on that landscape committee. Everything is going to be above board and is going to be fair. All I ask is, let us do our job, supply us with the information, and we will show you what we get back in the way of bids. You're more than welcome to take a look at it. We're not denying anybody except road and drainage. takes care of the bids for road and drainage. Landscape takes care of the bids for landscape. The Amenities Committee takes care of it for the Amenities Committee. You've been involved with this. I've been involved with it for over 10 years, and I know Mark's been involved with it for what, over 30 years?
Yeah.
So this is how we are going to run the Landscape Committee to be sure it's fair and above board. We can show you everything that comes in from that. But, John, you were not denied anything. I did not deny you anything in any emails. If you'd like me to show you the emails, I'd be glad to do it. Yes.
I just have a quick comment. The last meeting I was here for, it was my understanding through all the conversations going back and forth with, is it Metlock or Metlock? Medlock. That because you guys have always used them, that's who you're going to continue to use. And that's kind of silly. I mean, just because A is doing great work today, maybe B will do better work tomorrow. I always think that you should always get 3 bids every year. So I don't know what's going on with you guys and Mr. John saying that he didn't get what you guys wanted him to do, but just because you said for years and years and years you've been using this company. Well, you know, that doesn't always make it right. You can always go out because you guys are spending our money. And I would really appreciate 3 bids. 1, no. 2, no. 3 bids. There's got to be some companies out here that can underbid, and maybe they can do just as good a job as the company that you've been using. Just because you've been using them for years and years doesn't mean that you have to use them tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, sir.
Hey, friends, there's no back and forth. We trust you, we don't. But we always speak about transparency and how everything is transparent. So my point, as a homeowner, just like this lady said, how do we know we're getting the best bid? How do we know there isn't a company out there that can do a better job? My point, if we got jobs and we have money set aside, why can't you write a description, put a bid out to whoever wants to, have them send a sealed bid, and then if I understand the way we work here, we have 14 presidents. Why can't the 14 presidents get involved and look at the bids to say, hey, we want to go with this? Why is there such a big deal that we can't vote the 14 most important votes to start overlooking our money?
Okay, I appreciate the comment.
I brought this up before and I'll bring it up again. I'll give you a good illustration. To get bids is very time consuming. Everybody here is a volunteer. I've been volunteering in this community for 30 years. I'm glad to see this amount of turnout coming here. This is more, can I finish for a second? This is more people than we normally get. What we need is for you folks out here in the audience to join these committees and get involved and volunteer. This lady volunteered to pressure wash the sign. That's a great deal. If she can do that, has the equipment to do that, and the ability to do that, and save the community money, that's great. I've been paying this money for 30 years or more than 30 years. So it's not as if, you know.
Okay, but here's what I'm going to say. My old man was a tough guy. He was a sergeant in the Marines. But he told me...
I was a Marine too.
Okay, he told me if you have to tell me about how many hours you volunteer, don't volunteer. So my point is, I'm tired of people talking about how many hours they volunteer. I used to be on the Greens Committee. I used to be here. I used to be here. You know why I quit? 1, my health, and 2, I got tired of the bull crap that goes on in here. Last year, about this time last year, I was on the Greens Committee, got into one of the gentlemen who's a president of the Greens Committee, doesn't even live here, He made a comment after I left that I was nothing but a complainer, okay? He don't live here, doesn't pay a dime to live here, and he told me I was complaining. What was I complaining about? Oh, I'm sorry, the grass is never cut on number 12. The tree stumps that have not been cut since I lived here 12 years. And then I was told, do you expect Matlock to cut that tree stump for free? You know what? The guy who cut my tree today said, you know what? If I'll bring my grinder back this week, I'll grind it down for free for you.
I do not think the solution is to turn around and walk away. It's to participate. We have up and downs through these things, and there are difficult times and times when things run smoothly. But I do not think it's time, the solution is to throw your hands up and walk away.
A year later, Bob, a year later, we talked about number 12. You said, yeah, when Mr. Woods owned this, that was a priority. Number 12, our signature course. We've got, yeah, we'll start, we may even bring a blower out there and blow the grass off to the high clippings. We can't keep up with it. We don't have equipment. I brought up, why don't we have equipment? Well, it's 20 years old. Well, if I'm not mistaken, 4.5 years ago, we bought this or leased this. We didn't know then that the equipment was 15 years old. Now, a year later, we still haven't bought equipment. We still don't have a mechanic, and the grass looks like holy hell.
Better believe it, buddy.
Yeah. Okay. I don't have anything additional, yeah.
Next committee is traffic control. Mr. Reese?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just for the President's last month, I talked about the proximity reader setup, and we had a wonderful budget number of about $40,000 to cover all of that. A question was raised that I've researched about the existing multi-code clickers that some of us have and some of us refuse to pay for, so we go the other lane. Anyway, it was asked whether or not the existing gate operator could be reprogrammed with a different code, which would mean that we would have to reprogram all of the multi-code clickers for residents that come in and out. And the answer to that is yes, it can be done. At some point, if that's what we want to try to do, that doesn't prohibit someone who has a multi-code clicker that we use, or mostly multi-code. I know some of you have programmed your cars for that. That does not prohibit someone from opening their multi-code clicker and sitting down with some ne'er-do-well and say, here, let's just change your clickers and you can gain access through the resident lane whenever it's available. So that's an issue that I think from the security, which we are not, we are traffic control, but from the security of people coming in and out of the resident lane, changing the multi-code clickers we currently use to some other numbers may not be the long-term panacea that we would like. So that's what I've got. Yes, sir.
I had a discussion with you after last meeting.
Hold on.
I had this discussion with you after last meeting. I bought 2 clickers and I gave them to the person in your guardhouse. And he said, I'll program them for you. I said, how long do you have to have them? He said, well, you just go out and make a U-turn and come back and I'll have them for you. Now tell me it's going to take 2,000 hours, Bob, like you said the other night, for you to have those clickers, all those 2,000 clickers reprogrammed. When we could pay maybe 80 hours for somebody in the extra in the guardhouse to reprogram for us, or volunteers.
That's a viable solution. I don't know how long it would take, because there's a ton of them out there.
My turn.
There is a ton of them out there. It is something that can be done, and whether or not, my first blush is it will probably be a less expensive option. It won't be as secure of an option as the proximity reader would be. The other issue is for our residents who are currently somewhere where it's not 110 degrees in the shade. When they finally come back this way during the winter, they're going to have that rude awakening and pulling up to the gate and not working. So, yes, it can be done. I don't know about 2,000 hours. It doesn't take long to flip dip switches to match. But there again, if we accidentally flip a dip switch the wrong way, and somebody's still going to have issues trying to get in the gate.
Hi guys. Bringing up this new clicker thing, it's going to cost 40-some thousand, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So talking about volunteer work, I talked to Bob Shea 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I told him that I would be more than happy if he showed me how to do it, to volunteer however many hours to go through this situation, the process, and help change the numbers to the clickers. I don't know how to do it, but if somebody would show me how to do it, I certainly would. So if we could free up that $40-some thousand, then we would have the $30,000 we need for the piece of equipment that I found today to cut the rough. And I would be more than happy to do it for you guys. Thank you much.
Thank you, Liz.
Hey, Rick?
Yes.
One question.
Yes.
There's a budget for the traffic control, right?
Yes.
Do you know off the top of your hand what we allotted for traffic or patrols? I thought we budgeted for a patrol once a week for the whole year.
Are you meaning Sheriff Department patrols?
Yes, yes. I thought we upped it to once a week.
Sheriff patrols?
Yeah.
No, we did not up to once a week.
So how many weeks a year?
Off the top of my head, I believe we're set up for roughly 4 per month. Those rates have recently gone up as well.
Well, that's what I'm saying, once a week for 52
Right.
weeks, right?
The rates have increased quite substantially going forward, so we may not be able to go that much.
So, do you know if we've been living up to that?
As far as I know, we have, and we are currently midway of the budget cycle for this year and have spent half of what that number
Is it
is.
still just Friday or Saturday nights?
That sounds pretty close to being accurate, yes.
And they still park at the silo with the lights on?
I do not know where they park.
So my point to you is, why do we do that? Why are we warning the people who are coming to the four-way stop that we have a sheriff sitting there at $30-some odd an hour? You know why I know? Because I live there.
Right.
Okay?
I know you do, Joe.
My point is, at 5:30 at nighttime when that Mustang that goes down the road doing wheelies, or the Corvette that's doing, the burnout at the four-way circle, we don't worry about that. We worry about Friday night with the lights on.
Guys, can we get back to business? Yeah.
Okay.
Can we get back to business here?
For those of you that would be interested in volunteering to reset clickers, shoot an email to the CCA, to Bob, so that your name and contact information can be shared with our committee so that we can take that under advisement,
Do you
please.
want me, my name again?
No.
I was going to say, because you don't want...
No, those that want to participate in taking clickers from residents, sitting up here at the clubhouse on a particular day of the month and sitting there and changing out clickers. We need that information so that we can evaluate if that's a viable alternative for us to do that. That's all I have, Robert. You have some.
I do. So actually you were worried about people coming from up north and wondering why they can't get through here. Maybe you have their email address before they come back south and let them know there's been a change and you may not have to, your remote may not work. That's one option. The other thing is, I remember several years ago, I believe the gentleman used to work at the, we call it a guard shack, but I don't, yeah. Him and his son used to ride around for pennies on the dollar and ride around Cypresswood and keep us all, he's looking at, seeing if any kids are doing what they're not supposed to be doing, whatever. And they decided that that wasn't in their budget anymore. And then when they did that, then I believe not that we have a crime rate here, but I do believe that some things, some kids were acting all a fool and breaking in the cars and this, that, and the other. So, again, I mean, he got paid pennies on the dollar. We're not talking about $30 an hour for a sheriff. We're just talking about, again, volunteer. I'll go out and ride around because I don't sleep at night anyway. So if you want me to ride around and peruse the area, you guys always say stuff about volunteers, but when it's all said and done, we find out that we could have volunteered to decorate for Christmas. We could have volunteered to decorate for this. We could have done this. We could have done that. But none of that's put out ahead of time to let us know that you guys need us. We're just trying to save ourselves some money. And the money that we can save is, anybody can do it. Anybody can ride around. Anybody can decorate a Christmas tree, or I don't even know if you guys get paid for that. But anyway, I think you need to have a volunteer committee and let us know what you guys need. If we don't know, we can't help you. Thank you.
Liz, thank you. For those of you that have not been in Cypresswood for many years, probably over 10 years ago, we did have a community assist patrol, I believe, by the Polk County Sheriff's Department. We had the great car like Barney Fife. We had the light on top. It was really cool. You could drive through the neighborhood and you would be the eyes and the ears on the street, so to speak. That was something that after the gentleman that was kind of heading that up, when they moved away, volunteers for that started falling by the wayside. So Liz, I know you said you don't sleep a lot at night. Some of us do. So again, that's something, if we want that in our neighborhood, I know it's in a lot of the, I don't mean to be ugly, but it's in a lot of the retirement communities. They have the cat patrols, and various individuals do take the night shift. They take weekends and they do patrol. That is something that I'm sure Grady Judd's office would be happy to come and address our group. And if that's something that we wanted to do, we would have to staff that with volunteers. Okay?
So wasn't there a time when that guy Fred did it?
Fred was way before me, so I'm not sure.
Yes. That's what he used to do, and then you guys got rid of him.
My name is David Muckway, and I live in Oak Grove. And the only comment I've got to make on this is some of this stuff is there's legal limitations to what people can do. You can have somebody ride around and look for different things, but that really doesn't mean anything. If something bad is going on, the only option you have to call the sheriff's department or the Winter Haven police, depending on where you live. And by the time they get there, you can't stop anybody or force anybody to do anything. You might be able to get somebody's license plate and turn it over, but some of this stuff, I don't know. Talking about the guard gate and stuff like that, I don't know is what we pay. I think it's about $150,000, isn't it? To have the man gate for 24 hours a day. Is that the smartest thing to do? Or is that maybe to put in and save that money, put a card reader and give people? My daughter lives in Auburndale, in a nice community, and they change these codes every so often. And how they do it is they send it to you by email. If you don't pick it up, You've got to go to the homeowners association president and pick that thing up. Because basically, everybody thinks that these people are here for security. They're not. They're like you said, it's traffic. And if something bad happens, there's not anything they can do for you. That's all.
I work for the Sheriff's Office, and they do have the CAT program, and if you go to the Polk County Sheriff's Office webpage, go to Volunteer Services, you can download the application there, or you can call 863-298-6681, ask for Volunteer Services. They have a class that they offer, you get a nifty little uniform, you get one of the cars to drive around. Oh yeah, they're real cute. You get sworn in, the whole 9 yards. So it's a very good program. They offer the classes, I think, like once every 6 weeks or so.
And, you know, it was probably about 5 years ago now that the traffic committee opted to start collecting photo ID information at the gate. And I will tell you that since we started that, the ne'er-do-wells coming into our development has plummeted. Have we had issues? We've had issues with kids coming from developments over here on the other side of the cow pasture, coming in the back way, stealing vehicles. But I do believe that the photo ID capture at the front gate has significantly kept us safer than we were before we implemented that. So are there better mousetraps? There may be. If we're talking a little over 1,000 home sites, David, as far as a card reader system, the biggest concern that the traffic committee has had with all of this is how long is it going to take to get a car through the gate, and are we backing up vehicles onto Dundee Road? So that is certainly an option to consider, but that's what I've got. I'm done. Thank you.
Another point that one of the supervising lieutenants made to me is he asked me how many neighborhoods of the 14 individual neighborhoods have a neighborhood watch program. Can I have a show of hands if anybody? I don't think anybody does, do we? Does anybody in Cypresswood have a neighborhood watch program? So that's another place where you can start to do it, because it's all going to be done at the local level. Okay, amenities committee, Martha. Next slide, please.
Well, gracious, I'm usually a target, and we've had all this already, so I feel like I'm the show's halfway over. There, okay. Presidents, you should have received this. This is simply the statement of where we are, and you'll notice that we have, I'm going to do this a little from right to left. The total budget for the year is over there on the right column. That's already been approved. If that next column, that is what has been spent through June, year to date. And then what we're asking for, which is highlighted for the ask tonight, is $30,775.71. And then it is by these various categories. This is standard procedure. There's nothing new in this. Do you presidents have any questions? Okay.
And we do need a motion to accept the committee's request, please. Mr. Murphy's made such a request. Mr. Klein has seconded. This is a roll call vote, as we know. Mr. Secretary?
Club patio. Yes. Cypress Pond.
Yes.
Eagle Pond condos. All right. Enclave.
Yes.
Fairway patio.
Yes.
Garden patio.
Yes.
Golf villas.
Yes.
Greenfield Village,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Oak Grove,
Yep.
Palmacia,
Yes.
Plantations,
Yes.
Sand Hill Lane,
Yes.
and Golf Villas on the Green isn't here. So.
Yes.
Oh, Villas on the Green?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, that motion passes. Next slide, please.
Numbers, please.
It was 14-0. Thank you. This is my part of the show. I'm gonna, just in case we get there, Mr. Vice President, you're in charge of the meeting for this part, since I am giving a report. The golf course report through 6/30, 2022 shows rounds of 26,925 compared to 22,361. 2020 was the year that the golf course was closed for the 5 months for the improvements, so that's why that number kind of falls off the cliff. In 19, it was 2066. An interesting fact that Sunday, yesterday, was the busiest golf day in July we've had in 15 years. It's crazy, given the conditions, which we all know. Next slide, please. This is the golf course condition report. The greens will be aerated for the final time on August 16th. The golf course, the greens will be fertilized weekly. The greens have herbicides applied on a weekly basis. Greens are top dressed every 2 to 4 weeks, closer to 2 this time of year. And the greens are treated with a nematicide every 2 to 4 weeks. Greens are verticutted this time of year it's closer to 3, every 3 weeks. Tees are fertilized every 3 to 4 weeks. Green surrounds, herbicide will be done every 2 weeks, fertilized once a month. Next slide, please. Okay, go back one slide, please. Yes, sir.
With the greens, all right, you played yesterday yourself. Okay? I'm just going to use your signature hole number 12. Come up here. Okay? I'll be loud enough, you'll hear me. Our signature hole number 12, okay, in the back of that green, okay, it's like a dead area, okay? Isn't there a way to dig that up, plant new sod?
We've got sod coming towards just right after we aerate. The next time, we don't want to do it before because we'll pull it up, so we're going to lay the sod after to fix some of those spots. We're going to use the nursery green that's right outside the door, as well as we've got a sod. We're going to catch onto a sod truck that's going to South Florida to patch some areas, which we do every summer.
Okay, and you said about fertilization. I noticed a couple of traps today. I noticed in the traps today, all right, that they're blue and grass is growing.
The blue is the spray indicator that we've done to spray to kind of control the grass in there.
Okay.
That's what the blue is. The blue is a spray indicator. If you see blue, it's not grass.
So the blue that was on, I think it was 14. There wasn't a whole lot of weeds. If we would have done the one behind, there's tracks on each side, and then there's one behind. They didn't put any blue in there, and the weeds are growing in like this.
Okay.
Like last week, I see this guy on number 16. He's raking the sand trap on number 16. We only had like 10 or 12 people out there, but so he's raking it. There isn't any footprints in it, but the one to the back of 16 has weeds growing in it this long, and he doesn't address that. Bob, that's the kind of stuff as golfers we just don't get.
Yeah, I feel it too. I'm out there too. I see it. So it has to. It's.
Let me just ask you this, because everybody wants to know in my group. When these maintenance people come in the morning.
They have their list of projects for the day.
So.
And Alberto and Roy, who are the sprays, are generally in the mechanic room fixing the machines so they can go on the course.
Who gives them the instructions to do?
The superintendent does.
That's Roy.
Every day.
So has Roy went out there in the morning?
Every day.
Perused the area?
every day.
So this guy is on 16 and he's breaking a sand trap that has no footprint in it, no weed, and the one in the back is just a hot mess.
Two different procedures, but the spray tech has to do the spraying, not the person running the sand pro.
It's very disheartening.
Next slide, please. All right, herbicide will be applied to the fairways it's supposed to be every 3 to 5 weeks. The pre-emergent chemical has been applied again to all the fairways, and the full mole cricket preventative was done recently again, and it continues to be done with the full moon, which just happened last week, I believe. Here's your bunkers. Edging, weed control, and sand pro activity has started and continues throughout the summer. It is the most challenging, labor-intensive part of it, of the project, and it is definitely a priority. But next one. Here is Roy and I on the mower trying to catch up on rough earlier today.
Did you actually use the piece of equipment?
I'm on them all the time, Liz.
I've never seen you on it.
Yeah, well, you're not on the golf course as much as me. So yes, I'm always on it, trying to catch up.
Most of the time you're on the driving range.
That's not true. Since I'm here 20 hours a day, you don't know what I'm doing the other 10. So there's it. All right, here's the rough. The condition of the rough will continue to worsen for the next several months. Normally we can internally catch up around November 1st, but that is entirely dependent on weather and mechanical reliability. We will continue to put the highest priority on the in-play areas of the golf course. This would include around the greens and from 100 to 200 yards from the green on both sides of the fairway. Every possible resource will be used and considered, including contractors coming in with bigger equipment like a bush hog to mow the out of play areas. The 4 pieces of equipment that we own for mowing the rough will continue to mow as much as possible until weather or mechanical failure stops the mowing. And that's just the reality. Buying another piece of equipment requires another person. We are down to 5. Looking for any resource for employment at all that anybody has. Temporary labor isn't there. Contractors are a possibility. That's going to become, we're waiting on quotes for a couple right now. So that's where the next source is. But it will be bush hog. So if you walk out of the clubhouse tonight, you look towards the putting green where I was mowing, you can see the effect of bush hog. It's going to look like a hayfield. So it is the reality. This time of year, this is not, you can look through this, those of you who've been on this board may have heard the same story during the summertime. It is a challenge. And I think one of the, if I'm not mistaken, one of the bidding proposers for the RFP talked about 15 people-ish for this size of a golf course. So we're definitely behind the 8 ball. Next slide, please. And there's the 140 acres inside the Cypresswood community. Of that, 80 acres is golf course playable area. We have an interview tomorrow with the golf course mechanic that was at Wedgwood. Hopefully he shows up. The last one did not. And we have a golf course maintenance staff of 5, plus the superintendent, not including, excuse me. Okay. Amenities budget, Scott, are you? Yes? She's not. Yeah, Scott, why don't you do that since this is your format, if you don't mind.
I want to add a couple of things though before we say that. I know. The presidents, I need you to listen up here for a minute. A couple of things are going up next year that we can't do anything about. We've hit a 5-year marker on the first loan, so there's an interest reset. So the number that we have always been using for loan servicing will change going forward, okay? Another thing you need to know is that a number of factors are actually going up that we have not had go up so much before. You'll notice property and liability insurance. You probably noticed it on your house. There's a jump there. We anticipate taxes to go up. Utilities, we've already seen it going up. Another thing that's not up there but is a related cost, our current lease on the golf carts was $6,100 a month.
a month. That's the lease. Right now, they have told us that it will go up to $8,900. So that's a chunk, and that is for 80. Yes, we can shop around and get bids, but the point is, it was $6,100. That's what it is currently. And that lease, I believe, is up in September. Next September of 23. But right now, because we still have this supply issue, people are tying down leases now so they know they can get the carts in 2023. Okay? Right now, that quote is $8,900 per month. So that I'm just trying to fill you in on stuff. And okay.
So to answer your question, we currently lease from Yamaha. We have solicited quotes from both Club Car and E-Z-Go to match the quotes. So we'll get those. We will sign a preliminary agreement with Yamaha to make sure we're in the queue. It's much like the leasing package that I signed in April, and it's supposed to be in September of next year for all the new equipment that we're supposed to get. So again, it's very similar to that. We did get some good information from a different source of leasing from one of the things, so every door is being knocked on.
There are two other recommendations that the committee wanted me to bring to the board. As many of you know that you've been sitting out here for a while, the Amenities Committee in some ways became the catch-all for all the improvements and repairs and maintenance that had to be done to the building, to facilities, to equipment, etc. We really think that and it's up to the board to do it, that there should be another board committee, I'm going to call it property oversight, that would have the responsibility of looking at the buildings, plural, the facilities that require regular maintenance like a roof and air conditioners, that could be pulled out of amenities. In other words, we inherited old equipment that needed fixing up. We all know that now. We spent a lot of money fixing things up. But the Amenities Committee is really busy doing just amenities, and we really think there should be a Property Oversight Committee. Now, I'm going to volunteer, he doesn't know I'm saying this, Robert Dodd, to be chair of that committee. But I'm just tossing that out there, okay? It's up to the board to decide if you even want that committee. The other thing I want to toss out to the board, because we're going to be discussing how to pay for the pool. We know that needs to be done. The committee also recommends that the board consider getting a professional reserve study done. And that would allow us to find, well, maybe someone else ought to explain that better than I should. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say.
Scott, do the budget part, and then stay on the agenda part. No, ma'am, that's from the LO. Thank you for that clarification. I meant to say that when I had read. Thank you. That it isn't the golf cart lease or equipment lease it's on the LLC side.
While we're there, you may not realize this, the board president should, that on a monthly basis we get reports from the LLC that include line by item, cost and expenses, etc. And I went through and added, and a year to date, January through June, the LLC has paid in expenses. Now this is them, not us, okay? This is what they have paid. $606,973.62. So it takes a lot of money to run this place, and the CCA is not footing that entire bill. I want everybody to know that. Okay?
Do you have the breakdown of the 606,000?
Yeah, we have it all.
Who funds the LLC?
No.
So So if they don't make money, we don't pay the difference.
Revenue brought into the golf course.
If the LLC doesn't make the bills, we don't pay the difference?
What you're paying is what's budgeted through
I'm
committees.
just asking. I think they want clarification.
Yeah, the golf carts are part of what the golf course revenue covers through the LLC. So our golf operation runs through the LLC, which covers those expenses.
But if the golf course doesn't make money, who pays the difference?
The golf course makes money and the restaurant that loses.
I don't know. I'm asking a question.
Yeah, well, there's so much detail that goes behind that I don't think it's appropriate at this stage to talk. The answer to I'm not dodging your question. I understand the question. Today, as we look at the numbers for the golf for this year, it's doing fantastic. Profitable. Probably going to see some assessment money. Hard to say. We got 5.5 more months to go. So it's doing well, and you should feel good about it in this community because this is the first year. I said this in the last meeting. This is the first year that we've got to enjoy the benefits of having our golf course in the condition as a supplier of golf rounds to the community around us, not just Cypresswood, but Polk County. There's less golf courses open. They're coming to play here. We're seeing rounds up over 10%. Revenues are up. I saw the number today. 20, I don't even want to spout it out because I won't have it accurate, so I don't have it in front of me. It's about 25%. So it's all very good news in 2022. We need to get through the year so that we can get through the next 3 months. The third quarter of a year is our winter months, if you will, in the golf business. If we were farmers, we would be inside with the fireplace going. So we want to, and yet even with that said, you had your best Sundays, so go figure. Our golf business is up right now. All right, let's look at the...
Excuse me, on this residence budget, I know it makes it difficult, and I think it would be difficult for anybody to answer, trying to forecast what's going to happen for the rest of this year. But I'm sure you're knowledgeable enough to answer his question, who paid last year for the debts that the LLC couldn't pay? That's what his question is. Make it a simple answer.
That's how much the community paid towards that. $14,580.
Somebody needs to hear in the back. Can you explain that a little bit better?
I'm not sure I understand what the question is. You want me to break down the 2021 spend?
No.
In the LLC,
All I asked was if we didn't make money at the end of this year and we owed $10,000, where did the $10,000 come from to pay for it?
The same way, right there, Scott. It's right there.
So where did it come from?
I guess if you're referring to the CCA spend, is that what you're referring to, or the LLC spend?
If the LLC does not pay the bills at the end of the year, they're $10,000 short. Who is paying the $10,000?
I don't know. You lost $11,000 last year. We didn't write you a check, so I mean, and that's what I mean.
So
It's
we didn't pay it. Okay, that's
Yeah.
all I asked.
Yeah.
All I wanted to know.
yeah.
It's a simple question.
It's a simple question. We do have the detail and the answers. It's compiling it in a format to present it to you to give you the right answer is what concerns me. I don't want to do an off-the-cuff answer because I think it's an important question to give a good answer and the right answer. I have the detail. I look at it a lot to be knowledgeable about it, but there is a lot, as Martha just alluded to. We're a big shop here. We're a big business. So with that said, the 2023 amenities budget is on the screen, board members. This is a preliminary budget. There is so much on this budget right now that is a placeholder because we don't have all the answers yet. For example, line item number 1, loan servicing. The loan has a rate adjustment, loan number 1 has a rate adjustment in February. That rate adjustment is based on the 5-year Treasury rate in February, and it gets 2.7% added to it. The rate today is, well, I didn't look on my phone, but it's like 3%. So 2.7 and 3 moves it to 5.7% as our interest rate. And we've been paying 4.6. So interest rates have gone up this year, obviously, and that's going to be reflected in our payment next year. We put a placeholder in using 4.5% interest rate plus 2.7. So this is based on a rate that's, seems very high, 7 1/4 is what I used, so that we would be on the high side. It could come down to 195 for the year, 195,000. We've got 205,000 on there. So that that's the loan servicing line item. For the agronomics and for maintenance and repair, we're just going to hold the same amounts in the category. However, we are in the process of interviewing club operators, and that will start in May of next year. I do not know how that will factor in, and we won't know. We won't have all of our information yet till we make the decision on club operation for 2023. So again, a placeholder. Pool maintenance, the rate this year has been running a little bit higher, and I was speaking with somebody, Kevin, I think it was you, we were talking about the rates for pool chemicals and things, and they've gone really high, like crazy high, like from $75 to $275 for a chemicals. As an example, it's just gone really high. So again, we've adjusted that for inflation with an estimate. And then down under general operational, our insurance policy rate won't be, it renews in September, and we won't know until about August 1st where our rate might go. It's going to go up. If you've seen your homeowner's insurance, shot up, auto insurance gone up, this is going to go up. So again, an estimate and a placeholder. I'm going to come back to all these estimates in a second. Property taxes hold true, utilities are gone up a little bit, and so then we totaled to $548,000 roughly for 2023. Now, normally we would present the budget, we would ask for a motion to approve it, it'll be conditional on all of that. If you want to do that, it's probably proper, have at it. We are not going to be able to get a good picture on our amenities budget until next month and the month after, and the loan servicing not until February of next year. So there's a lot of balls we're juggling. Just know that. Down at the bottom, other amenities considerations. We have a, Mark, would you call it a solid estimate at 130?
Yes.
For the pool? Okay. We have a solid estimate of $130,000 to repair the pool. Repair, right?
Yes.
That's the word. The money for that, based on how we've been reserving this year for general reserves, the money for that we've been putting in for general reserves this year can be used to do the pool repair for next year. When we do final budgets, that will be the plan. That'll keep us stable. We've got our general reserves fund. By October 1st, we'll have it to $220,000 for general reserves, which on a guideline is the right amount we should have. So we can now begin to move and shift, pivot, if you will, the general reserves contribution over to the pool repair. Two other things. In May of next year, the club operator contract will start anew, and we don't know what that's going to do. So, question mark there. And lastly, club operator assessment. Correct me if I'm wrong, sir, but you have the potential on a successful year to contribute $150,000 of assessment money, which would come back into technically under the amenities budget, if I'm correct. I know it's been reserved in the past, but it should be income that gets earmarked back into amenities. we're having a good year this year, so let's pray for no hurricanes and sunny weather. A lot of golfers. Those are my comments on the budget.
Questions?
It's,
Hold on. We're gonna have, we need to approve this or provisionally approve it. We can talk about after, do we have a motion to provisionally approve the amenities estimate? Mr. McCullough has made such a motion. Do I have a second? Okay, we have a second, Mr. Purnell, thank you. Okay, questions on the motion?
Before we vote on it, are we going to have some questions answered regarding if
That's what we're doing right now. Do you have questions?
Yeah.
Hold on, let me get to where I can hear you.
Looking at one quick number, Mr. Bachman asked about what if the LLC doesn't make enough money to pay all of its debts? And what he doesn't see, I'm sure from the distance he sits, is that part of the debts of running a golf course are $78,000 of agronomics, not in his budget, in what you would call the CCA amenities budget. So a lot of the things that you're thinking about that have to be paid for to run a golf course are paid for by the CCA, not by the LLC. So that helps answer your question. If in fact you don't have expenses and you just take in revenue for rounds of golf, even if you give away hundreds of rounds of golf a year free, even if you do that, you still can come out in the black and not have any debts you have to ask. The debts are taken care of before we even get into the new year. $78,000 for agronomics for the golf course from the CCA dues. That's just to start with, Mr.
And it's not a debt. It's an expense, not a debt.
It's an expense, and the LLC pays agronomics as well. Any other questions on the amenities?
there's somebody back there.
I see, she's coming. Right.
I was just wondering, you talked about the club operator. Is that a new position that's being added for next year? And what does the position do?
It's there's in the lease. There's a 5-year trigger that requires a new agreement with whatever club operator is going to be in place. Basically, whether the LLC will stay, and they've got 4 other bidders. Kevin, is that correct? Because Kevin's on the subject. So it's total operations of the club. It's not a position.
Got it, thank you. It's
Sure.
not just the club.
Yes.
Yes, if I may, first off, my name is Dan Pilkins.
Come up to this.
Sure. Thank you.
And do you live here, sir?
No, I represent the Meadows.
Okay.
I have a question. If I may, with regards to considering the budget for next year, it is important, I believe, that you all first consider whether or not the CCA, each of you as presidents and representing your homeowners, want to exercise your rights to buy the course and the clubhouse this year. When you entered into this 50-year lease 5 years ago, there is a 5-year option to purchase the golf course and the amenities for $2.5 million. And that's why I actually sent a request previously to the CCA's attorney for the financial records, so that at least my client could exercise their fiduciary obligations to evaluate from the financials whether or not the membership CCA should want to buy the club from its owner right now, whether it would be more profitable for the association to CCA to operate the golf course rather than under the current arrangements. Now, in considering the budget, I think you all need to first consider and evaluate the option of buying the course, because if you do, the owners agreed to finance it at 3% interest, because that's in the contract. If we exercise the option, that should be a cost to consider if you all, after evaluating the financials and after talking to professionals, which I would recommend a $2.5 million real estate deal, you should do, especially if you're looking to possibly buy a golf course, you do that. And right now, that's
what I'm hired to help do for the Meadows is to get the information so we can get the professionals to evaluate it. Now, before you all vote for it, and considering you all are presidents of your respective associations and exercising your fiduciary obligations to your membership, I think that's information you need to have before you actually decide to vote on a prospective budget, because nothing in that budget considers the option of owning the golf course. And I attended last month's meeting, I looked at the minutes before, and there's been no discussion, no evaluation, no analysis yet of buying the golf course, exercising your option, because once that option's gone, December 31st of this year, then you all are stuck with a 45-year long lease with no future options to take over ownership and control of the course. So that is absolutely true.
No, we can opt out.
Who can opt out?
The CCA.
The CCA has a 5-year option to buy this course. After the option expires, they will not have an option to buy the
No, I
course.
understand that, but you
Okay.
said we're stuck with a 45-year lease, and that's not correct.
Well, anyway, to buy it out, this is it, 5-year, and so I'm going to sit here and suggest that all of you consider it as board. I know that with regards to the Meadows, they're considering, and they're going to want to get the information, which I have done one request, and I'm doing another request because council said I cited the wrong statute. I may disagree, but we both agree there's another statute that gives me the same information. So we're going to get that information, then we're going to hire an expert to analyze it. I would recommend all sub-associations do that as well, because then you all can make intelligent decisions whether you want to buy the golf course before December 31st of this year. And if that's the case, that would materially affect your budget. Thank you.
Okay. So first of all, the determination on the budget will not be made until the TAC committee gathers all the budgets out and will bring a final assessment back to us. So you can still vote to do this. It's provisional. We go to the TAC committee, they come back with a budget number. We are all talked about the purchase option. We had a workshop over it. It is at a 5-year point where they can elect to purchase it or not. That decision will be made. We've talked about that extensively at these meetings and at that one workshop. So this has no bearing on what the budget is. Now, if we decide to purchase, if the board decides to purchase, then obviously there'll be consideration has to be done so we can put it into the budget for the assessment for next year, whatever that impact may or may not be. But it doesn't affect the individual committees' budgets. Just watch your stuff, please.
We on the agenda?
Yeah, we're gonna do our agenda.
But that's up to you guys. If you want me to shut it.
It seems like we're skipping over it.
Oh, we're not yet.
I'm talking about what's
You're
on.
talking about the amenities, but.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So he's a vice president. You talk about the budget.
Well, I don't know if this is the correct time to talk about it, but it's on my agenda and our HOA's agenda. It's a motion for each president or vice president to take the next 30 days to formally poll their homeowners on their desire to purchase.
Put your microphone up.
Okay, it's under new business, so you can have that. They can have that new business. So we have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions from the board members regarding the motion and second? Okay, we're doing roll call. This is to provisionally approve the preliminary 2023 budget for the amenities committee.
Club patio,
Yes.
Cypress Pond,
Yes.
Eagle Pond, Enclave,
No.
Fairway patio,
No.
Garden patio,
No.
Golf villas,
No.
Greenfield Village, Meadows,
No.
Oak Grove,
No.
Palmacia,
Yes.
Plantations,
Yes.
Sand Hill Lane,
Yes.
Villas on the Green.
Yes.
Tie. It's a tie. Oh, oh, oh.
It's 6-6. The motion fails. It goes to TAC anyway, and it will be resolved in TAC. So move on. Next slide, please. No, road and drainage. Bill Shire's not here. He's under the weather. Mr. Mark Klutner will be doing their report.
This is the road and drainage budget for 2023. I'm filling in for Bill. He's under the weather today. As you can see, what we're proposing for 2023 is no different than 2022. We did a lot of work in 2022. So far this year, all of those items are pacing pretty well. Drainage repairs this year, it looks like right now that at the end of the year, we'll have maybe $20,000 to carry forward over into 2022. It's our recommendation that we take that $20,000 and add it to the stormwater pump reserves. For those that don't know, there are 3 pumps that pump water out of Cypresswood as part of the drainage system. It services primarily the area north of the 4-way stop. So it's Greenfield Village and the patios and St. Andrews and all of that area. Oak Grove, Sand Hill Lane, Palmacia, Enclave, they're not relying on that pump system. It's mostly the older area that is. The most important pump, number 15, was replaced last year at the cost of about, I think, $230,000, somewhere in that range. And the next pump to be replaced is located out on the other side of the pasture of hole number, is that 2? Of hole number 2. And that pump has been there for many, many years. The last time we really rebuilt it was back in, after the hurricanes in about 2005. So it's got a life expectancy. The new pumps we put in are a duplex pump operation, all automatic. The only thing we're lacking is a generator if we lose power. But in the end, we didn't have the funds to do that, but in the interim, we could always lease a generator if we got to a situation where we thought we were going to lose power because of a hurricane or something of that nature. But with everything on the agenda that we have coming up for 2023, we thought it prudent if we try to hold our budget the same as 2022. Yes, ma'am.
You're talking about leasing a generator that would be like hurricane season, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so in my experience, because we had a gas generator, and then we needed a part for it, and we had to go all over Polk County to find it. I think the worst time to look for a generator is when the hurricane's coming. Maybe you should budget to have a generator, because once you need it, once the hurricane's coming, you may be out of luck. Just my opinion. Thank you.
The generators we need generally are pretty available through industrial suppliers that we have communication with. To date, we've never had to use a generator. And I've been on the committee, like I said earlier, on the Road and Drainage Committee for about 30 years. We also have a portable pump and a tractor that we've used in emergency situations if we lost power. So,
That's good to hear.
yeah, but I would love to see a generator permanently mounted out there at some time in the future. They're a very expensive item for these 50 horsepower pumps. Any questions regarding the budget?
Okay, so again, we are provisionally approving The 2023 budget, $139,700. Do I have a motion to provisionally approve it? Mr. Murphy was first. I'll get the second to Mr. McCauley, who's right behind it. We'll do roll call on this one.
This is for what, road and drainage. Club patio? Cypress Pond?
Yes.
Eagle Pond condos? Enclave?
No.
Fairway patio?
No.
Garden patio? Golf villas?
Yes.
Greenfield Village? Meadows?
No.
No. Oak Grove?
Yes.
Palmacia?
Yes.
Plantations?
Yes.
Sand Hill Lane?
Yes.
Villas on the Green?
Yes.
The motion passes 10-3. Thank you. Where it's road and drainage? Yeah, if it's road and drainage, yes.
Road and drainage.
Okay.
And I'm not going to ask a question about amenities, but the question pertains to both of these. Okay, this is on road and drainage, but the question would apply to the amenities thing also. For you presidents, this drainage and road committee budget, there's nothing unusual or uncommon about what's up there. 3 of you voted no. I would like to hear the people that voted no against this to tell us what you see as an alternative. And the same thing on the amenities. I'd like to see the amenities budget put back up there, and the 6 people that voted no for it, just give us some, that it's going to go to TAC committee. I'm on TAC, and I'm on the amenities committee. So it's going to come back to us. So for those of you that voted no, I think you ought to address us in this meeting and give us some idea of where it is that you think. What would you think? What's an alternative to this?
No. No is no.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, we'll take that to TAG consideration when we do it, to what the thing. There's enough people in there that know what's going on. We don't have to call anybody out, because we're not going to go down that road. Next slide, please. Treasurer's Advisory Committee, Mr. Shira. Next slide, please.
You, board members, each of you this month and every month receive, Bob sends them out, you receive the CCA financials, and they were sent to you for June last Friday. That is a 28-page report this month that details all revenue and all spending. This is prepared by our CAM, who is a certified public accountant, and it gives you everything that goes on in the CCA's books for the month. Are you all receiving that every month, board members?
Yes.
Okay, great. There's a lot of detail. It's broken out by how it's spent. When you see this report, which is the budget summary overview report, I am compiling what the CPA prepares, and I put it in a format that lets you look at what we plan to budget for the year and how we're doing through the year. So the purpose of this report is to get you up to speed, and you can fish through the 28 pages and you can find where money gets spent, and I do it every month. I see amounts that get spent and I go check Rick's budget and I say, how come he's $2,000 over this month and I can find out where it got spent, and I find out it's like a one-time hit that was planned for. We're doing really well this year on our budget. We're staying within the boundaries, if you will, of what we set as our budget for this year. So when you receive that, it's got your assessments, which don't change. That's what we receive in the year. Then it's got your operational spending, and then it's got your amenities spending. I would urge you, if you have any questions, you can contact me and I can walk you through it and get you to the detail so that it's fully understand. I just want to be clear that that is being, I wanted to be sure you're receiving it, but I want you to know that this is a full disclosure of our finances. Yes, Mr. Tayson.
I receive it, and I'm probably one of the few people in Cypresswood that print it out.
Can't hear you.
And why I print it out is because I do want to I do receive this report, and I do print it out, 28 pages, so that I can go over it. There's a number of people who do not print it out, but I would say that very few people who get it have it addressed blind copy. Is yours addressed blind copy? Not.
That's how it's sent you. That's how it's sent to everybody, not just to you guys. Yeah. Every person in the room gets it the same way.
Well, I just received something that had all of the addresses.
I made a mistake and didn't blind copy that one. I apologize for making it.
All right, we'll do it again.
Made a mistake.
Okay.
It's Lizzie.
Any other questions on the budget summary? In the back, yes, sir.
Does anyone else get the CPA report before it's generated into a report that you make and give out?
It goes to the board. Talk with your HOA president or vice president.
The CAM report from the CPA comes there, or is it just the report that you make and gets sent out?
No, the CAM prepared financials are distributed by Bob to the vice presidents and the presidents of every HOA, yes.
So it's not full transparency because there's a stop before it hits everybody else.
But it's not changed. It's sent out verbatim from the.
Well, I say there's no Bigfoot. There could be Bigfoot. You don't know it's not changed.
Okay.
Mr. President, point of order, can we continue with the meeting?
Thank you, Mike. And yes, what you are sent is exactly what the CPA sends. No changes. So no other questions. I'm going to change direction on the purchase option. The next topic of discussion is the option to purchase property. You won't use the next 3 slides, just so you know. The TAC committee has met and discussed it. We will not be offering a formal recommendation to the board, because we are not unanimous within the TAC committee on whether to make the purchase or decline the option to purchase. The majority of the TAC members have expressed a desire not to purchase the property. But that's not going to be a recommendation we're going to make to the board because we're not unanimous. And I think that at this stage of the game, what needs to happen, because there are steps to take if we're going to act on purchasing the property that are pretty clear. We have to work out a purchase agreement. We'd have to bring that back to the board for approval. We have to get South State Bank approval. It is in the loan document. The CCA can incur 0 indebtedness unless they say we have permission to do it. It's in the document. So that's been brought up before. Clarity on that. I've seen the loan agreement, and that's a requirement. With that said, what we need right now is to know what this board wants to do. How do you want to go forward? open for discussion.
Have that workshop you promised us.
I didn't promise any workshops. We've had one and we'll have another one if it's necessary, absolutely.
Did you see my hand up?
I did.
This discussion is for board members only.
I would like to make a motion that we quash the purchase agreement and resolve to the community once and for all what we're doing.
Keep quiet too.
I don't have to either.
Okay, we just had a board member, order please. We just had a board member make a motion. Please, Mr. McCullough, repeat your motion.
I'd like to make a motion to quash the purchase agreement and continue with the remaining 45 years of the lease.
Okay, Mr. McCullough has made a motion. Is there a second for that motion? It is not an illegal motion. It's part, Mr. Shire in his report brought out the purchase agreement, so it is appropriate at this point. Is there a second to that motion? You can second that, Mrs. Goodrich. Is there discussion on the motion from the board members? The motion by Mr. McCullough is to not to exercise the purchase, to exercise the option to purchase. Not to not purchase, and to continue the lease after that. We have a second to that motion. We're having discussion.
Hey, Scott, could you give us a little insight into what the thinking is of the TAC committee now? You're saying that it appears that they're leaning towards a non-purchase arrangement. I don't know if everyone knows it here, but when we signed this back in 2017, it's for 50 years. It's $1 a year is what the lease calls for. Okay, just.
The overriding viewpoints when polling the TAC members is financial. It is taking the annual cost to purchase the property is approximately, assuming we paid the maximum price, is $126,500 a year roughly for 30 years, which would be approximately $120 a resident added to the HOA fee to acquire the property. $125,000 a year goes along, in the viewpoint of the majority of members, not all of them, is that $125,000 a year goes a long way toward us being able to do the things in the community that will improve and maintain the community property that we're already obligated to take care of and we need to take care of. The first year would be actually approximately $195 to $200 a resident, because we'd have to cover about $85,000. Again, these are approximations that need to be formalized. $85,000 the first year in closing costs, and that would roll up in as part of the HOA. So the first year increase in dues would be added to the homeowners. As HOA dues would be $200. So financial was the primary reason.
One other comment.
The $2.5 million purchase is in the first 5 years, but we're now renegotiating that, correct?
John said no.
Have we approached? Yeah, I mean, is it possible that we could extend that lease option another 5 years?
He said no.
He said no.
My question is, I went up there a little while ago, and I got a motion, and you told me it was in new business, and it addresses your motion. Now, why are you before me? My motion. Why do you get to make a motion? Why does he get to make a motion before me? Because my motion is the exact situation he's bringing up. Squash the purchase. Mine makes some comments about not squashing the purchase. Well, okay, I'll make my comments. Mr. Klutenauer. We polled our HOA board, 8 members. 7 out of 8 want to continue seeing about purchasing. There's not enough information out there for anybody to make a good discussion on it. There's not enough information. Would by buying it reduce our costs? Here's the reasons why my motion I made, but it didn't get put on the floor. We have heard a lot from the TAC, this CCA, and the workshop meeting. But one of the missing pieces is the community desire. I hear people on all these committees saying they don't know what they're voting for. We got to make a vote for them. We know what's best for them. So I disagree with that. I disagree that our people are that stupid. I think we got a pretty smart community, 1,061 homes. The second reason is this is once in a lifetime opportunity, and we need to do everything we can to get it right this time. Because I don't think it was done right. I don't think it was done right 5 years ago. The third reason is I've heard a lot of homeowners say, it won't matter what I say. Well, I think homeowners should matter. Homeowners should matter, not just this committee. Last but not least, we should do what is right for our future generations. Not that I won't be around 45 years amount of attitude, and I hear a lot of that. Oh, why not just spend $1 because I'm not going to live another 10 years. I might live a year. I've had cancer. I'm probably supposed to be dead. Why don't we pursue the opportunity? There's a lot of things that we don't know.
Is there any more discussion on the motion? Yes, Mr. Pack. This is a board discussion at this point.
Back in 2017, I attended every meeting that took place regarding the lease. I wanted to do a due diligence. That was turned down. That would have discovered that we were buying into an irrigation system that the minute we signed a lease, we were going to spend $1 million on. That also would have discovered that the second year, we would have discovered that the greens were not any good anymore, and we were going to borrow another $1 million. Those $2 million we have to pay back. Who has the benefit of what those $2 million paid for? The person who leased us the property. One of the things he made a mistake in was giving us in Article 20, the option to buy. We were given that. It was signed in good faith. I don't understand even how anyone sitting at this round table of presidents could make a motion that we forget the good faith signatures of the people who signed in 2017 to accept the lease and unknowingly, I hope, unknowingly accepted all of the expenses that we put into paying for the owner to benefit by. $4.5 million so far, and we're going to raise that each year more. So $4.5 million. I think it's time for us to at least take a breath, get the information, and not allow somebody to say, let's forget the obligation that the owner gave in that lease. Let's vote to say his obligation is not enforceable. What are we talking about here? If you make an obligation, an honest obligation, put it in writing, and then because you're afraid that somebody is going to find information that would make it desirable to buy instead of lease, let's make a motion that we can't buy it. We have a lease that says we have until the 31st of December. And I think we should allow some people from the audience. This is probably the most important topic we're going to discuss for a long time. Mr. President.
Thank you. Any other from the board members? Okay, we're going to do a roll call.
Excuse me, Gary, you don't allow comments from the membership?
That is up to the president. If you, Mr. Tyson, if you want to allow your attorney or to speak, that's your call.
I wish for him to speak.
Then come up to the front, Mr. Porter, please.
Sir, with regards to the TAC meeting, committee meeting you discussed before, first off, were those meetings open to the membership? Were,
Yes, we have people from the community attend.
okay, are they noticed and they get to comment when you discussed this issue? About buying out, the option to buy out the property?
Well, I think you misunderstand what the membership of the community.
No, I'm talking about even the president, were the presidents all invited to the TAC meetings? Only the TAC members. Okay, are there minutes from that meeting?
We're not a board, we don't vote,
No, but committees also have an obligation to keep minutes. I'm just asking, did you keep minutes of the meetings? Do you still have those notes? Of the membership?
We're not hearing his answer.
Did you keep? Okay, the other question is. Look, okay.
It's not your turn, Chris. It's his.
Wait a minute, let me hear what you're saying, sir.
No, we don't want to.
Thank you. If you're going to cross-examine my client about records keeping and what you think in your mind this association has to do. I've already had to tell you this is not a 720 homeowners association.
No, but it is a
And I already-
607 that has to keep the same records.
Yeah, and I had to tell you it was a 617 and how to do the records request. So here's the deal. The on point,
Yeah, tell
your
us the deal,
comments,
Chris.
your comments were supposed to be directed towards this motion.
It is.
No, it's not.
If you let me finish instead of interrupting me, I'll explain it.
Mr.
The
President,
financial
please,
records.
As a vice president of Cypress Pond, I ask for a point of order. Yes. I don't see the purpose of attorneys arguing in our meeting. Yeah. Amen. I see. No, sir. Mr.
Wait a minute, we'll let you finish.
Mr.
No,
It's not, you're not a member of this board.
I've been asked to speak on behalf of the sub-association.
Let me tell you something.
mean you don't care what he
We
says?
are a board.
Yes.
And we are, John.
You have to care.
He asked him
Okay,
to
make it
speak.
feel better.
You have to care.
Point of order.
Mike, please continue.
Go on, John, you just understand this. May I continue?
Yes, sir.
Oh, you get
We
the
are a
tip.
board, and every member here represents an HOA.
Himself.
We form into an association. Every member here at these tables here are board members, presidents, vice presidents, and we carry forward from our neighborhoods what needs to be said.
That's a
If
lie.
our
Guys, let him talk. Don't interrupt.
I'm sorry?
This is ridiculous.
This is ridiculous.
For us
You're
to be going
ridiculous.
through something like this and arguing amongst ourselves is shameful.
No, it isn't.
And yes, it is. Liz, we have a TAC committee, a treasurer's advisory committee, that has professionals on it that are working very hard to come to conclusions about this. And right now, our TAC committee is divided, favoring not purchasing. There is.
Why do you make a motion if you're half-split? You're not divided.
If you're divided, he has no right making a motion for 1,060.
He's got a right to make any kind of motion. He's got a right to make a motion, but we also have a right to listen to all the sides of it. And that's what we're trying to do. Mr. President, I'm just gonna give you the microphone back. This is crazy.
Yeah, because I'd like to know why this gentleman
It's-
told me
We're going to vote on the
to
motion.
shut up.
If I
if you're having a professional meeting,
Before I
why
was
did you
interrupted,
tell
can
me
I
to
finish
shut up?
my point?
No, we don't want your point.
But I was given standing on behalf of
From Mr. Tassin.
The issue, and what I was trying to get to is, you all don't know, because the TAC committee, you all didn't attend, don't know which financial records they reviewed. Now, I assume we can get that. I have asked for those records, whether I asked for it under 720, 617, 607. We're going to get those records. And there was a motion by one of the association presidents or vice presidents to go back to their homeowners and get their opinions on it, which each of you as a board member, as a president or vice president of your association, have a fiduciary duty to make sure you properly represent your owners' positions.
Amen.
But I want to take it a step further. I would suggest then you should get their opinions before you place this vote. And I'll take it a step further. All of you should, sir, can I finish my point?
No, this is a provisional vote.
No, it's not. There's nothing provisional.
I'm a vice president of my...
But the motion wasn't provisional. And anyway, the point is, you should, and hopefully we'll get the financial. And Chris, if you give me those financials, we've shared them with all the boards, sub-associations, so that your homeowners will have the right to share and look at them too. So that your homeowners will be fully informed, you will be fully informed of their opinions, and then coming forward and making a decision, you will make that decision after exercising your fiduciary obligations to represent your associations properly.
So to clarify, we have a motion and a second to not exercise the right to purchase, which expires at the end of the year. We are doing a roll call on this one.
What about all the...
Club patio?
No.
Cypress Pond? No. Enclave?
Yes.
Fairway patio?
No.
Garden patio?
Absolutely not.
Golf villas? Golf villas?
No.
Greenfield Village?
I need clarification one more time. It's to not exercise.
So
we would not be trying to buy the golf course.
that is correct. The amenities. You're making the decision to.
You stick with the lease.
Right.
I don't want to stick with the lease.
You do not. What are you voting? No then to the motion?
No. Meadows?
No.
Oak Grove?
No.
Palmacia?
Yes.
Plantations?
Yes.
Sand Hill Lane?
No.
Bob, I misunderstood the question. I want to vote yes.
Villas on the Green?
No.
Okay.
And Fairway patio is a yes. So it's up here. Let's change that to a yes.
Bob, would you state the motion again?
The motion was by Mr. McCullough to not exercise the purchase option, which would be
A yes vote comes to agree not to pursue the purchase.
correct. Correct.
No.
Correct. So so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The motion fails 9-3. So, Mr. Treasurer, we need next slide. Are you okay. We need to go. We want to go. Okay, new business. Mr. Potter. Well, we're going to address it because you asked for it on the agenda, so I'm not addressing it. I'll address it myself. Board members, if I can have your attention, please. At the last meeting, we agreed that you are going to go back to your bylaws and rules and regulations and consider the Greenfield query about yard sales. We wanted to put it on the agenda so we could either go forward with it or put it to bed for now. I assume that all of you went back and studied your documents carefully and have a decision. Yes, Mr. Klutnow.
I'm just kind of curious, it's a side item, just to show of hands of all that are in here. What this is about is a once-a-year yard sale.
Okay, so audience, last month or it's been a couple months ago, and then last month we brought it up again, about a one day, once a year yard sale. And Mr. Klutnow is asking for an audience poll by a show of hands of those of you who might be interested in doing that, just so we can get a, you can say, so Ray Shore is.
Excuse me, Mr. President, that's a homeowner type of objective to find that out from their representative, not from someone who speaks favorably of something in a mixed group.
He just asked a question, it's a poll, it's not a binding agreement.
Are we all going to be allowed to have at least 2 polls? This will be his second one. Are we all going to be allowed to have 2 a year?
2 a year. What, yard sales? So so the question on yard sales is anybody, does anybody have any comments about that? What they find out in their documents?
Is it going to be open to the public?
Well, that we haven't got that far. We're just trying to see if it's legal to do within the individual HOAs first. Mr. Doug, did you do any?
No, I did.
Okay, Mr. Klein?
Yeah, it's not legal in our.
Not illegal in Rod?
Not legal in ours.
Steve, did you check?
It's not, it's.
You'd have to change CCRs?
Yeah, we would, but we were told, well, I was told by my attorney that if we want to change those things.
Sure, you can. So it wouldn't be this year probably, because it would take a bit to change those, correct, Christopher?
Yes.
Yeah. Linda? So I guess, is anybody on the table in favor of it? Okay, then we'll go on. The second item on new business has been I will say that from the community association's perspective, all of the information that the Meadows has requested via their attorney has always been available to any individual HOA to review. It is available to the Meadows. It always has been. There's never been any sort of stopgap. It is the position of the board, and then if we get served with legal documents that we have to return in a legal fashion, all that has to be done is a simple email requesting information to the master CCA, and we already have our CAM preparing space in the office. Now that John Wood Realty and the CAM is in Cypresswood, it'll make it very convenient for you to go to their to arrange a time and place to review those documents that you so choose. So all you got to do is make that information is always available. I don't know how many people I've sat with and past board members and reviewed most of it. So if the Meadows still wants that information, just
I think LLC information was also requested.
then make the request. It was not made in a normal, make it to the board and we'll do it. It was not made in a normal format. So so all you do is send it, Mr. Passon, if your board still wants to do that, just send that information to me via email.
Let me have our attorney explain these kind of stand-ups.
No, sir. No, you're done. Yeah, you're done. Just submit the request and submit the.
Well, I have, but also you can legally provide it to us in electronic format, which is easier than having to sit in the office.
No, we're not.
That can be shared with the other associations as well.
Why are we arguing with this?
We're not arguing with them. Is there any? So again, that information has always been available. If you want it, Mr. Childs, have the Meadows HOA make that request. Any other new business, Mr. Weiss? Do you want to make this is the time when you can make your motion, if you have one? Here, I'll come to you, Tim. Tim, I'll come to you. Tim, stay down. It's okay. Here.
I'm Tim Weiss from the Garden Patio. I haven't been on the board only a short time, but we polled our board of 8 people, and 7 out of the 8 want to see this go forward and investigate buying versus leasing. And I've already said the reasons, so I won't bother you with that, but Mr. Palmer, would you make sure that this gets in the minutes and that each individual homeowner's vote gets, but my motion is each president or vice president take the next 30 days and formally poll their homeowners on their desire to purchase or lease all of the amenities. Golf course, pool, clubhouse, tennis court, etc., and report the results of their poll numbers at the August CCA meeting. That is our desire, and that is my motion, that we vote on us, our presidents or vice presidents, taking a poll. And it took me an hour and a half to make a poll, not this one, with my 66 homeowners by phone, and make sure appreciated it. That's the motion.
Okay, so we have the motion is to do a poll of your residents regarding their opinion of purchase versus continuing the lease. Is that accurate? Okay. Mr. Murphy, are you seconding that one? Okay. Roll call vote. Oh, hold on. Yes, you can.
Yeah, you have to have discussion. That's always a good idea. All right. One issue, formally polling. Okay? It's your motion. You guys do what you want. You're the author. You write it ever how you want. I prefer the word straw poll. Here's why. Formal polling means that we are suddenly placing each homeowners association under an actual legal obligation to conduct a formal vote of the membership. That would mean they would probably actually have to call a meeting of the membership or follow mail voting requirements. Otherwise, you leave yourself wide open to that one guy that said, I didn't get a chance to vote, and he sues you. Now, if you do a straw poll, that's different, that's informal. You can do telephone polls, you can do it by email, knock on doors, whatever you feel like. It's a straw poll, it's informal.
So please withdraw your motion.
Well, he just has to.
I'll amend my motion to make it from formally to straw poll.
Thank you.
Yes, you second it. Okay. Any other discussion on the, yes, Mr. McCullough?
I and the other members of my board were elected to represent my residents and to speak for them. And I've got 177 residents. Many of them are not here right now. I don't have a phone number. I don't have a physical address for them when they're not here. I cannot poll them. But 5 out of 5 of my board says, don't purchase it.
The best you can. The best you can. I also was elected president and given the obligation of representing the 50 homes that are in the meadows. And I would be very happy to do a straw poll and make every attempt where I don't have a phone number or an email address to find out what the phone number or email address is so that I will be able to account for the 50 homes as best as all possible to do this straw poll, because I think it's very, very important.
So I'd like to see one of the subcommittees help facilitate this poll, so that way it's done in a consistent manner. So questions that are asked to every community are the same. The format in which it's presented is the same. I think we could probably leverage the annual or the monthly newsletter potentially. I know I'm impartial to doing things electronically, so I think it's certainly an option to use the internet for a lot of residents. And I think that would probably help make the decision again where the results are more consistent, the feedback is more consistent, and that way some of the communities who maybe aren't as technically savvy or capable of getting residents' feedback, we can help provide and make sure that that's done.
Okay, you got a comment to that?
I like that comment, and one of the things is I'd like to see, like you said, a committee, and we all ask the same question. Exactly what you said. And I think that's important because we can if we want to sway our vote for our HOA, it would be easy to do.
So does, which board members want to be on this committee, or is that something they want to do? We have to.
Might be something you want to address after the motion.
Oh, sure. Okay. Thank you. Any other comments on the motion? Mrs. Goodrich.
Yeah, and my question is, where are we going to get all this information? Because some of the people, they don't get involved with it, and I'm sorry to say that it's going to be quite difficult to do that. Where are we going to get that information from?
Why is it restricted just to board members?
It's basically just asking them whether they want to purchase or lease, and then
Whether we want to pursue getting the information.
yeah, pursuing the information. Okay, well that's not what the motion was.
Mr. Treasurer, isn't that the purpose of the TAC committee, the Treasurer's Advisory Committee? We've been discussing this topic for many meetings. There's been outside participation in it. We are talking about already committing ourselves to research, and you have made contact with some people to do the type of fiduciary research that needs to be done. Shouldn't we just put this in that committee? Why create something else?
That's a good question. Mr. Treasurer, I'll give you a chance to respond.
Well, as it pertains to collecting information from the residents and having that be consistent and uniform, probably need, I would recommend like a subcommittee to formulate that pretty quickly. Yeah, and then, and then gather it, and we can compile it. I don't, it has to happen organically within each of the HOAs, obviously.
It would have to. That's what the white. It's for each of you to report your residents' straw poll results at the August 15th meeting. That's what the motion is. Anybody else? Okay, let's. The motion is for each of the individual HOAs to conduct a straw poll of their residents to and again, I don't want to misstate it, to consider purchase versus lease, right? Isn't that what the motion is? It's not information, it's just whether they would. Yeah, oh sorry, I got it in my hand. Right, it says each president or vice president take the next 30 days and straw poll their homeowners on their desire to purchase or lease all of the amenities, any listed amenities. So it's not gathering information, it's about the two things.
Yeah, is somebody going to put together?
That will be next.
Okay.
Mr. Kevin, your vice president.
On that, I think when they put the letter together, or when they do their survey, I think they need to understand if we do purchase it, that it will be $200 more a year for their assessments. So they do understand that there is a cost if you decide to purchase it.
Are you gonna give the homeowners financials so they can make a decision?
There you go.
We don't know.
Okay, do we have any more board discussion on this topic? About this motion?
this is about this motion, and the question was just asked in the audience. Are we going to go home now and come out with a question and ask our residents to vote on, without any financial information or any operation information, to vote on whether they want us to buy or not buy the amenities? And they're supposed to, ooh, let's see, I don't know anything about it, but I'll make a vote. Is that the kind of a straw vote we want to take? Or do we want to take a straw vote on finding out if they want us to pursue getting information so we can make a business-like decision on whether we want to go ahead with the option to buy? That's all. That isn't what the motion says, and is being manipulated now to counter-produce.
I read it right off this paper. I just will change words from formal to straw. That's my motion. That's your motion. It continues. You're not, okay. We are voting, and I'll read it. Each president or vice president take the next 30 days and take a straw poll of their homeowners on their desire to purchase or lease all of the amenities, golf course, pool, clubhouse, tennis courts, etc., and report the results of their straw poll at the August CCA meeting. That's what we're voting on. We have a motion, we have a second, now we're going to vote.
Club patio,
Yes.
Cypress Pond,
Against.
Eagle Pond condos, Enclave,
No.
Fairway patio,
Yes.
Garden patio,
Yes.
Golf villas,
Yes.
Greenfield Village, Greenfield Village, all right, Meadows.
Yeah, I do.
No, yes. Did you say,
You
Mr.
said
Potter,
yes.
did you say yes?
Yeah.
Oak Grove,
Oak Grove?
Yes.
Palmacia, Plantations,
No.
Sand Hill Lane,
No.
Villas on the Green.
Yes.
The motion passes 7-5. Okay, so now, does anybody want, Mr. Jason, do you want to make your motion to form the subcommittee to determine the questions that are going to, or question that's going to be asked, or is it going to be this question? Yeah, I don't know.
Well, again, my feedback is actually. That's actually
Okay. Okay, then we'll use the motion, and I'll send this out tomorrow to all of you to go in your neighborhoods and find your answers. Oh, that's what you're saying, form a subcommittee. Okay, so, all right, so I guess, sorry. I'm not going to be the committee. Who wants to be on this committee that's going to determine the question or question that's going to be asked? Once they come up with that, hold on a second. Once they come up with that, they'll have to, we'll do that electronically, where those questions get sent to the board for approval. Correct, but they still have to have, the subcommittee has to formulate the language that was desired that all of it. So Mr. Weiss, are you volunteering to be the, yes. Does anybody want to join Mr. Weiss on that committee? Okay, Jason, thank you. And we need a third, Mike? Okay, great, we have a subcommittee. Anybody else want to join him on the board? Good.
Jack, I got one.
Okay, that's fine. Mr. Weiss, would you like to be chair of that subcommittee? Okay, you can, if anybody wants to volunteer to be on that committee, they can certainly talk to Mr. Weiss and get his contact information and go forth. Right, is there any other new business from the board members?
Excuse me, I had my hand raised long before you spoke.
Are you, is this?
It was
Is it?
about this vote you just took. You gave
Oh, I'm sorry. sorry.
You're giving the homeowners two options. We either have to keep the lease or we have to buy. Can't we don't have any other options. Why do we have to do either one?
Because that's what's in the legal documents of the agreement.
But I thought we were able to get out of it now in 5 years. We can't get out of it because at least 8 of these guys voted that we have to have options.
The option in the lease is that this is the agreement. The agreement is at 5 years they have to make a determination. Jeff. Yes, yes, I will. 3 minutes, Mr. Dodd. He reserved it.
I'm almost speechless, but let me address my concern about this straw poll vote. Y'all are talking about polling people, many of which who don't know and don't ever care about what happens. Are you going to, and understand, you're fixing to potentially put these people in debt $2.5 million to the tune of $126,000 a year, another $80,000 to pay closing costs, and add that to this budget. So you can't tell part of the story. You got to tell the whole story about the budget ramifications. Exactly right. Sir, I didn't interrupt you. You don't interrupt me.
I'll interrupt you when you're done speaking.
Thank you. I'll be sitting down.
You're pointing at me.
I'm not pointing at you. What I'm trying to say is, you know, this thing has been vetted and vetted and vetted and vetted through TAC. That's the way we are organized. If you don't like the way we're organized, talk to the board and reorganize these committees, okay? So I'm not going to, listen, give me my time to talk and don't interrupt and I'll sit down. So my point is trying to do a straw poll and talk to folks, that, like I said, that don't care, don't have the information. If you don't, you're not going to give these people a fair chance of having all of the information and all of the facts to make a reasonable decision. That's a simple bottom line. And so I don't see what the value of doing a straw poll is. You all have at it, go for it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. We've got a long way to go in terms of still trying to resolve our budget issues and the things that we still need to get done. And you know, it's just disappointing.
Thank you.
Why don't we get the information to the homeowners so they know?
What's the place worth?
Robert, the reason I raised this straw poll is because I've gone to all the meetings and I've listened to you telling everybody that it's stupid to buy the golf course, and you sell it, which is good for your opinion. But my people don't know all the facts, and I don't know all the facts. There's a lot of things out there that we don't know yet. How much is the increase next year? How much is this worth? How much is this property worth? Tell me. You're a banker. Tell me. What's it worth? Is it a good investment or a bad investment? You've sat there and said, we're going to make the decision on my board because those people don't know what they're talking about. Well, that's an insult to me and my people. It's an insult to every homeowner in here.
Okay. Anything else? Any new business from the board? Thank you, Mr. President. Do you have any objection to adjournment? We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
This is going to be a question. Are you in favor of buying or continuing to lease?